Here we are in state-controlled Britain, and on the screen we have Lee Copus, the Kent Carnivore, and Carl, the Primal Lifestyle. So, Carl, would you like to introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
Hi, yes, I'm Carl. I've been on Carnivore now just over 2 years. Like a lot of people say the same story. I was obese, I had high blood pressure. They were trying to get me to go on statins, all the usual. I'd got skin cancer, which I had to have surgery with. Then it established they had other levels of other cancer involved with that, which was quite concerning. Looking for a solution not to go on statins, went on YouTube, saw the Joe Rogan, Jordan Peterson, hundreds of people have already said. Suddenly thought, well, I could do that. And I remember my wife rolled her eyes and went, oh, God, another fad. And I've been on it two and a bit years. I've lost 6.5 stone. Blood pressure's normal. I'm now running, which I haven't done for probably 25, 30 years. My resting heart rate is of a teenager. I'm doing a new challenge at the moment. I run the London Marathon 15 years ago in a medieval suit of armour, and I'm lining up something this year because I turn 60 next year and I want to mark it in a slightly spectacular way. But this lifestyle is just perfect for me.
Brilliant. So you ran the London Marathon in a suit of what? A real suit of armour?
Yeah, a medieval suit of armour. It was 6.5. It was actually 500-year-old suit of armour. I basically, a friend of mine, when I was not on the carnivore, I went out drinking with my mate, got very drunk one night, think we had some great ideas. Basically, 7 days later, I got a notification from eBay. I'd won my bid, and I'm thinking, my bid? What was that? And then when I suddenly dawned on me, I'd spent our family holiday money by spending £1,800 buying this suit of armour. And then when I started going through my emails, thinking what the hell had happened, spoke to my mate. He said, well, you know, you signed up for the British Heart Foundation to do next month's London Marathon. And I'd committed to raise £5,000 to get the place. And suddenly realised I better do some quick training and all that. The BBC did a great bit on me. They covered me and got me, and I've raised over 40,000 in the end.
Yes, that's brilliant. And sorry, I'm laughing at. We've got such brilliant people. Lorraine there. Wow, suits you, sir. I don't know if you remember suits you, but yeah, that's a nice joke. I like that very much. So, as we haven't got any questions, we'll get into one of the things we wanted to talk about, which is, let's do a little screen share. It's the Great British Meetup, because there's not long now before the window shuts to get your tickets. So it's the 19th is the last day you can get your tickets, and it's 17th of July today. There are links in the description. The Great British Meetup, if you don't know, is on the 2nd of August down at Sourdown Farm in Glastonbury. So if you want to be all trendy, you can get to Glastonbury. How good's that? And we've got lots of guest speakers. Lee is going to be speaking. He's not on my list here. He's going to be talking about his personal journeys. So just as we've had Carl there speaking about his personal journey, I mean, they're so inspiring. I mean, he's just dropped in, Carl, that he lost over 80 pounds, you know. So we've got Stephanie talking about a cancer journey. We've got Carl talking about his weight loss. We've got George yesterday talking about his 9 stones, by the way, for the Americans that are listening but not able to get to the thing. 9 stones, you just times it by 14 because there's 14 pounds in a stone. You got Richard, who went from obese and diabetic to being ripped and getting his Keto Pro bodybuilding thing. You've got me, where I was pre-diabetic, CAC score of 639, lower left quadrant pain, skin problems, athlete's foot and all that. And then obviously we've got Carl, George, who you met on Wednesday, you know, knows his stuff about farming. And then we've got Lauren, who's overcome sort of malnutrition, food sensitivity. It's what a lineup. But the other thing is, I mean, it's not much money. And what do you get for your money? You get a ticket that includes fire cooked, all you can eat feast. All right. All you can eat, a hog roast, beef roast, lamb roast, slow roasted on the site, fresh. I mean, it's amazing. You've then got a disco, a party under the stars, music, laughter, lots of energy, good energy. All the profits are going to projects like Healing Humanity. So everything you're doing is going to be fun. It's going to be informative. It's going to be very social, and it's all going to go to a good cause. And it's great. I mean, you know, so the link is in the description. And I think if you don't get here, you're going to really regret it. The running order, which we've now got, is has been set. So let's just do that as well while there are no questions, if you don't mind, people. Let's get that up on the screen. Running order here. I don't know if Carl, you want to go through that because you're the main man.
Well, yeah. So obviously, the venue opens up 9 o'clock for registration. We're aiming to do little name tags so you can put your name. We've got one of our guys that's coming over from America is actually going to help us with the registration side of it. So everyone will have a name tag, etc. So the registration, we've got the list of who's got tickets, etc. I've been elected because I do a bit of stand up. I've been roped in to be the MC of side of it. Obviously, Alex Cannon was one of our speakers originally. So we're putting together a little bit of a tribute. I'm putting a little bit of a humorous side to it that Alex, I think, would really appreciate. So we've got that. We've got some messages from big name carnivores from the States that can't make it. I think it's Dr. Kilt saying it's going to be Kerry Mann as well. So we'll share all that in the welcome. And then we'll go into the carnivore personal journeys. And George and Steph will start. Then we'll have a comfort break because it's quite a big gap there. And obviously people want to have a quick break from it. Then we go into Lauren and Lee's stories. Then we'll have another comfort break. And then obviously yourself, Stephen, and Richard are our key speakers. And then we'll go to a question and answer. And then it's all you can meet. So from there, the afternoon has been designed to make it a little bit less formal. People can network. I think Stephen and you and Lee and Richard are going to probably get a lot of people wanting to come to talk to you on one-to-ones. With regards to the question and answer, I picked up on what you said yesterday. So we're going to be providing cards for people to write a question down. Obviously, coordinate it via me. So we'll still take questions from the floor and I'll try and manage the room as best we can. But obviously, I think some people are a bit shy to ask a question in a big group where if they can write down the question. So I think that will be more beneficial for all. Then we've got socialising. There's some good meat-orientated gifts and giveaway merch that will go out through the raffle. And then everyone's got to try and dance with Lauren because I think she's going to dance her ass off.
Okay. One of the things in the raffle is my book, Guide to the Bloods, which is a tome, which people will like. I didn't know if you knew that, Carl. That's one of the things that's up for grabs.
Well, I'm hoping you bring some more because I want one of them off you, so I'm going to buy one off you.
Sorry, Lee?
The biggest prize, the number one prize, is a big box of ostomy bags, if anyone's interested.
Wouldn't that be number 2?
Oh, brilliant. And he's there all day. So, look, wow, that's brilliant. Yeah, just to confirm, it is on the 2nd of August, but the tickets, and it's such a sensible thing because I've been at many of these places where they've run out of food. All right. So the reason you have to buy before the 19th of July, even though it's the 2nd of August when it's actually on, is so people can order enough food. And I think that's a really professional thing to do. And you're sort of shooting yourself in the foot in one day because people are always very last minute. But yeah, I'd much rather be doing that.
But the idea was we wanted to make sure that regardless of how hungry people are, there'll be more food than they can possibly eat. The guy that's doing the catering is slowly becoming a carnivore anyhow, due to George's pressure. And we wanted to make sure it was abundance. People didn't have to be shy and worry about having anything. We've even arranged to have some pure meat burgers now because there will be some children present now and it's not fair on them to expect to eat that same sort of food. I do hear that there's going to be potential rolls in there, but it's down to individual choices, etc. But we felt that was the right way to do it, and they're going to hang the meat properly, so it's going to be the top notch. So unfortunately, we had to have that 2-week gap to make sure we've catered correctly.
Yes, brilliant. What is going on? I need to know. Sorry, late to this. Where is this held? It's close to Glastonbury. So the address is on the screen right now. I've got a question in the chat here from Jeanette. I wish you guys could do a paid live stream for those of us who are unable to attend. Is that beyond our capabilities?
Well, my concern was I was at the London meetup that you both spoke at, and the issues they had with the Wi-Fi in London obviously made the live stream near on impossible. We will try and attempt something, but however, we are down in deeper Somerset, and I'm not sure if they've got telephones, let alone internet. So I do feel that we're going to have to sort of go with that as to see how we are. It's going to be tricky, but we are aiming to have a proper videographer to capture the day as well. And I'm going to be doing some interviews afterwards and hopefully put some more content out as well. So we are hoping to do something, but we can't promise it because it is going to be down to what the internet's going to be like on the day.
What about like a local recording on a video camera? I mean, is there microphones? Is there a presentation screen? Could we do something?
There is a plan to do that. We've funny enough, Lee and I are on a meeting after this live stream discussing the plans. We're looking at even potentially purchasing our own PA system. Where there is a big screen, but it's not a big screen like in London. So I'm trying to badger a few people to let us have a big pull-up screen as well and a projector. So there's a few plans we've got in place to make it enjoyable. We've got to have at least 120 people there. So that's going to be, quite a big number that we need to make sure we can cater for and they can hear everything and all that. Because there's nothing worse than turning up or something and you either can't see or can't hear anything. So we're trying to be as accommodating as possible.
And people have also asked me about camping. So have you got any news about that?
Yeah, there is camping available. It's fairly basic, but it is good camping. I think there's toilets and I think there's water and things like that. But it is available. You have to book it direct with Sourdown Farm themselves. I think they're charging just £10 a night for a pitch. But yeah, there is camping available. There is more than sufficient parking available. Some people have asked us also about bringing dogs. Dogs are welcome as long as they've got well-behaved owners. But dogs will have to be kept on a lead because it is a working farm and it is obviously for chickens, etc. So they're saying as long as the dog is well-behaved with their owners and they're kept on a lead, they are welcome.
Excellent. Have you got anything to add, Lee?
Not especially, but just, if you're a bit fed up of feeling a bit like you haven't got enough support, people around you don't understand where you're coming from, come down because everyone there is to support each other. We're all family, basically, one tribe, and it's just nice to see more people down there, more new people. I've met a couple of people a few times at the same events. It's always nice and they always enjoy it and they come back. So it's something that you won't forget, and potentially, we're doing this every year, aren't we? We're thinking about that, Carl. So something that we can build on and improve, and just come down and see us. So I think so many people just feel like they're isolated and they're alone. They don't have a lot of support. They're often on their own doing things, and it's quite difficult, isn't it? You don't have that kind of backing from people. And I'm amazed what I've heard from people about friends and family, and I'm not going to sort of say anything in detail, but it's, some of us, we struggle with the support. I'm quite fortunate, but I can remember how I felt in the beginning of my journey, at least. And you do feel like the odd one out. I didn't know anyone around here. That's kind of why I called myself Kent Carnivore. I thought I was the only one in Kent. You just think like, anyone else doing what I'm doing? But come down and meet us all because we're all on the same page.
Yeah, I think, and the whole idea of this meetup was a community thing to get, I think George mentioned last night, he's only met a couple of carnivores, although he's communicated with loads of them. And I think this is a great opportunity for people to meet and engage, share stories, build up friendships, because it is, I did in my tribute to Alex Cannon the other week that, when I first got involved, it was all America. I then started looking nearer to home, and that's when I discovered, like yourself, Lee, I discovered obviously Alex and befriended Alex and that, then obviously Steve and Richard. But, you're still on a screen. This is an opportunity to meet person and speak. I'm fortunate I met you guys at London, but, and it was really great. And I think we're going to take that to another level, I think.
Absolutely. Yes. So everyone's been very quiet in the chat about questions, but they're all very, very positive. I haven't been flashing up the messages, but Jane there, she's coming all the way from Yorkshire. That's such a long way to travel. Jane, you and Carl, which is really fantastic. Got people just checking in, saying hello from Ireland. We've got people from Canada. So I think, this idea of possibly recording some of it would be really good if we could do that. But, technology is a bit of a bind, isn't it? A bit of a problem. I would have to say today, I've been speaking to people, doing some consults and stuff. And it's frightening when they get, for instance, they get, told something by their doctor or their best friend, which is counter to what they're experiencing, especially with the bloods. I've got somebody very much like yourself, Carl, has lost a ton of weight. Their blood pressure has come down. Their anxiety has gone down. They're sleeping so much better. And they get their bloods back. And of course, there's a couple of little red flags on there, normally LDL cholesterol, which isn't cholesterol. And it's also the filtration rate of the kidney, because that's skewed if you eat more protein than average. And they just feel isolated, and they just think they're the only ones. And it's really nice to know we've now got, at least 1 million people eating carnivore, if not more. And I think the idea of the meetup is, firstly, those people will come and see that everyone else is pretty good and pretty healthy and nice and friendly and all been through it. I do think that this is the way of eating that is possibly the last resort for many people. They've tried everything else. That's one of the common things I hear in consults. I've tried everything. I've done vegan, vegetarian, I've done calorie restricted, I've done Weight Watchers, nothing's worked. And then 6 months later, I'm booking them to do a success story because this works. So I think that's one of the things that people hopefully will take away, is that you can have some serious issues that you've been told you can do nothing about. I've got so many people in the last 10 years that have been told it's incurable. You can't reverse type 2 diabetes. It's just not possible. And they've done it. I've had literally somebody say that they were given 2 weeks to live. That was 5 years ago. So they're either, amazing at ventriloquism because they're dead and just throwing their voice from beyond the grave, or they were told a pile of rubbish. So I think that's the thing. It's nice that you got a bit of humor there as well, because it's fun. This way of eating, although it's really serious. I mean, I've done a Substack today about medical error, which may be partly what I talk about. And the stats about all the things that can go wrong in a hospital or with your doctor. And it's as bleak as you could possibly imagine. It's absolutely frightening. And also, I mean, I experienced that. My mother, when she had her colon cancer, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly, but and this is why my lower left quadrant pain was a big issue for me when I was in my late 40s, because I thought I was going to follow my mother because of genetics. I now realize that genetics maybe loads the gun, but you pull the trigger with the way you're living, and then you can stop that trigger being pulled. Well, my mother was told to lose weight. Okay. Now, when she came home and said, "Oh, the doctor said I need to lose weight," I was only 15, and I thought, that doesn't sound right to me. This is, people don't do what you're doing just when they've got to lose weight. So I had a big argument with my stepfather. And I said, I'm going to ring an ambulance and pretend that my mum has fallen down and she can't move. Terrible. Terrible to admit that, but wait till you get to the kicker. So when the paramedics arrived, literally within a minute, the paramedics said she needs to be in hospital. She had a 9-pound cancer growth.
Jesus.
9 pound in weight, cancer growth. And she was told to lose weight. Now you say, well, that's okay. Maybe that's a one-off. No. My dad was told he had a calcium deficiency, and a week later was dead with cancer of the spine. My girlfriend, who I met because my mother went into intensive care for many years, I met my girlfriend. She was a nurse on the ward. She did everything, all the food guidelines. She died of breast cancer, and she did everything. I did everything that food guidelines said, skim milk, porridge oats, fruit and veg, freshly squeezed orange juice, lots of exercise, all of that. And by the time I was 45, I was pre-diabetic, had lower left quadrant pain, having colonoscopy, a CAC score of 639, So what we're going to be doing is talking about things like that are pretty bleak, but in a positive way. You can do things about this. You can have your eyes opened with true stories from real people. And we're not anti anything. I'm not anti doctors. I'm not anti hospitals, but I'm anti misinformation, and it's not the doctors, it's not the nurses, it's coming from above. I don't think there's anyone in a hospital, I don't think there's any doctors that are, you know, thinking, I'm going to just lie to these people and make lots of money. I think they genuinely believe what they've been told. But it's great today to see RFK talking about Ansel Keys to the American people, saying that saturated fat, all of that was a lie. You know, the whole thing. That's now going out to the mainstream media in America. Sadly, here in the UK, we're lagging behind. We really are. You know, I jokingly call it state-controlled Britain, but it isn't a joke, really. I mean, it really is quite bad. We can't say anything. I had my community chat shut down only yesterday on YouTube. You know, nothing I say on there. I don't swear. I don't tell anyone that they're a horrible person. I don't call anyone names. I just put studies out. They're all referenced. It gets shut down. So what we're doing is trying to spread the word, and nothing can stop face-to-face communication. You know, you can come and talk to Lee, you can talk to Carl, me, anyone else that's on the panel, and you'll get exactly what happened, the truth. You won't get YouTube filtered information. You will get what actually happened. Now, what I just said could get me taken down. Isn't that frightening? Because that's actual things that actually happened to me, you know, that I witnessed in real life. I've been told stuff that you wouldn't believe, that, you know, patients or clients, however you want to word it, when I do consults, what they've been told, you know, when they've reversed type 2 diabetes and they've gone back to their doctor or nurse or whatever, and they feel great and they want to come off their medications, their blood glucose control is much better, and they're just told, yeah, but you know what you're doing is going to kill you. But there's absolutely no proof of that. But the proof of it being good is there in front of their eyes. And that's the frightening thing. So we've got to take this, and sorry if it sounds like a rant, but as patients, as individual people, we've got to take control, and we've got to change it from the ground up. And that's it. And the best way to do that is be empowered with true stories and all the information that you need, lots of references. The reason I'm doing my Substack is so people can say, oh yeah, I've got a link if you want to read this. And I try to make it humorous and basic. So, but there's the facts. There's the facts. Oh, you're saying that you can't reverse diabetes. Well, here's the proof. Real people, real stories and stuff like that. So I just want people to turn up and hear the stories, meet the people, ask the questions they want to ask, and actually get the answers that we're allowed to give face to face, but maybe not on YouTube. Sorry, but
that's what makes carnivores tick. Yesterday we had a vegan in here just saying that he's been following me for years, and you can't believe you still asking certain questions because you think, haven't you kind of learned enough to not have to ask that question? But he was talking about he sticks around because he wants to know how carnivores tick. Well, that's why carnivores are the way they are. This is what makes us tick. Truth. We do these experiments on ourselves. Nothing else has worked. This has worked. We spread the word. We spread truth. What makes carnivores tick is that we've come from suffering and being fed up and just desperate, looking for an answer. We finally find it, and then we get people saying that we're dangerous, we're putting out dangerous information, we get cancelled. And why are we getting shut down, cancelled, shadow banned? Because we tell the truth. We're not making stuff up. It would be so much easier after doing these experiments. I've lost all this weight, I've got come off medications, I've avoided surgeries, I feel great. Tell you what I'm going to do, I'm going to lie to my audience. They need this carb bar, they need this supplement, this powder, eat a balanced diet, look at me, you know, my channel's thriving. We could lie, but instead we are telling the truth. And I think that's what makes carnivores tick.
Well, I've done just over 100 one-to-one interviews on my channel, and it's just a common theme through every one of them. They've reversed this, they've reversed that, they've tried everything, they've been vegan, they've done all the various bits. I remember my father, my late father, he was diabetic. He had to go into hospital. He's on the diabetic ward, and they gave him jelly and ice cream. It was full sugar jelly and ice cream. And I'm like, it's got a sign there saying he's diabetic. And they went, oh, no, it's fine. You'll be all right with that. And then they wondered why he went downhill that evening. I mean, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Yes, the hospital food is laughable. It's absolutely terrible.
It's the opposite of what it should be, isn't it? You know, you're in a place where you need the best of everything that you can. Everything, lifestyle, diet, everything needs to be right. Because some of these people are, you know, their last leg kind of thing. And you see what they give you on the menu. I mean, obviously I was avoiding all that when I had my hospital stays, but most people don't have that option. They can't have people just bring them in food every day.
Yeah.
I'd rather fast, you know. It's better to fast a lot of the time, as long as you're not in there too long. But at some point you've got to eat, and you look at that menu and you can't believe what they put as a healthy choice. Everything that's not healthy has got healthy choice written next to it. The thing that's closest to being healthy, because there's no cigar on the menu, absolutely nothing. You know, it's the stuff that's best for you. That's like, careful now, you know, sparingly with this one, you know, danger. And you're like, what's going on here? They can't give you boiled eggs and butter and things like that. It's all mixed, and it's just, even the good stuff's destroyed, and it's got added stuff to it that's just compromised it. And it's such a shame. These people think that they're doing a good job when they order white bread, whole grain bread with polyunsaturated spread, and then they have a glass of orange juice, and it's like, you just ate sugar and toxins. That's all you really ingested. There was not a lot going on there. You had some minerals. Unbelievable.
Yes.
So the thing is, for me, the sad thing is when I look at the stats on my YouTube channel, my viewers are 40 plus. They're obviously got to a stage where they've hit bad health. They're looking for something. They find something. If we could get that message out to the younger generation, we wouldn't be having half these issues. But unfortunately, youngsters, I know I was young, I was invincible then, you know, and you don't think about it, but they're marketed at so much. And the only other thing I'll add to that is healthy people are not valuable to drug companies.
Yeah, that's right. Let's do a couple of questions. I think this one's for me, but I'm very impressed with the person's knowledge. Neurotransmitter is saying, regarding the blood test, I'm investigating the ferritin paradox. We most consider phlebotomy. What he's saying there is people are told they've got iron overload, and so therefore they volunteer to have blood taken from them, which does bring iron down, but it isn't necessarily actually needed. I did 10 years, a decade of private lab testing. I can assure you it isn't needed in most cases, especially with carnivore. But it's not really necessary if TSAT, which is transferrin saturation, is between 20 to 30%, despite high ferritin. 6 months research. Well, yes, I mean, this is one of the things that I go on about all the time. The iron panel is needed. Serum iron isn't any good on its own. Ferritin isn't any good on its own. Transferrin saturation is a good marker. But what you need is the whole panel, because the transferrin saturation is actually a calculation from serum iron and what's called the total iron binding capacity. So you need about 6 or 7 readings, or different types of readings, to actually work out what's going on. And that then gives you what's called functional iron, what's immediately available for the tissues. And you're absolutely right, because if you get a percentage of 20 to 35%, you can have high ferritin, but you haven't got iron overload. I don't want to get too much into all this, but a lot of what you're told about, even hereditary hemochromatosis, is it's very reduced, and it's not really very factual. You can also look at things like hemoglobin, and your obviously that's important for iron and oxygen transport. Your copper level, because that has an important impact on iron. So when people are getting lots of fatigue, for instance, and they immediately think it's iron, which is a big deal. Iron deficiency is one of the biggest things that's wrong with Western society. It might not be that. It might be actually that you're not consuming enough copper, or you've got a copper problem. But yes, you see, this is where the nuance is important. I cover this in my bloods book, actually, and you're absolutely right. I mean, that shows that you are looking at what you need to look at, which is other numbers. Ferritin, by the way, there is what's called mucosal ferritin. So many people think you can't get rid of iron. Well, that's not true. See, that's another thing. You don't have to just go and have your bloods taken, because mucosal ferritin is in your small intestine, and actually that goes out when your small intestine, the top layer, is rebuilt every 4 days. Your small intestine, along with that, is mucosal ferritin, and that takes iron out. So all this stuff about you can't get rid of iron is not true. So yes, women, have a monthly reason where they can get rid of some iron in their blood, but mucosal ferritin, that's male and female, and that's happening all the time. And that's also an explanation of why cancer in that area is not very strong, because it's the cell turnover is so quick. It's all proven, and it's, you know, it's joined up thinking, but that's brilliant information. Thank you very much. And, you know, that's all covered in the book. And this is why we need less vitamin C as well. I'm not going to bore people with the mechanism why, but when you're having heme iron, you don't need vitamin C. When you have non-heme iron, when you're eating veg and plants and stuff like that, you need lots of vitamin C, because to convert the non-heme iron to heme iron, you need vitamin C ferroreductase to work, which is an enzyme that needs vitamin C. We don't need any of that because we get the heme iron. So fantastic. Lorraine is saying, how do we reference this to our doctors and people we'd like to explain it to? Well, this is the point of the meetup and the point of being online. You can join us online at any time. Lee does, you know, sort of recorded stuff, but we also do live streams, Richard and myself. You could go onto Carl's channel and ask the question, and I'm sure he would do, you know, an answer at some point. But what I do and what Richard and I do is we answer questions live, but we also then put references in. So, for instance, what I just said about how we could rise up and have information against the doctors. In my description for my channel, my Substack's there, and I'm always putting information out with all the references. And if you see one of the things, yep, just click on that reference. You can print it out. You know, there's no paywalls and stuff like that. It's really easy to get. Did you want to add anything, Carl or Lee, to that one?
Well, I totally agree with what you're saying on all of that area. That's one of the reasons I'm currently starting my own PhD study, because I want to, you know, be able to talk from a position of knowledge. I know yourself, you've got qualifications, Stephen, and I feel that then people will listen to you. So it's a 4-year slog for me, or minimum a 4-year slog, but I'm aiming to do a PhD around the carnivore sort of field of it. It's just sorting out the subject matter at the moment with the university. So, but I'm self-funding that because no one will fund me. So that's my choice to do. But I feel that if I can come from that position of authority, then, you know, I can reference things to people that can actually listen to it and actually believe it's genuine.
Yes. Lee, anything?
I obviously don't have any qualifications. Currently don't have any services, but I'm working on it. I won't talk about it now, but, you know, I will be talking about something soon. I'm going to set something up, which I might sort of introduce the concept in my next video. I'm working on a couple of videos. I'm juggling a couple of videos, you know, about the documentary I'm making, but also other smaller mini documentaries that are kind of bite-sized, all-in-one stops for people to understand the general facets of carnivore that people often query. Let's put it that way.
Yes. So. Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. We're going to go through a bit more, but just for people that are late to the party, what we're actually here to do is tell you about an event. So just for those that don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about the Great British Meetup, which is on the 2nd of August. So let's just get that comment out of the way and we'll get to the next bit. You've only got a couple of days to get your tickets for an event that for 13 hours and 30 minutes, we'll be talking about carnivore. It will also give you a fire-cooked, all-you-can-eat roast, hog roast, beef roast, lamb roast, slow roasted on the site, all fresh on the day. So that's good value before you even start. You're also going to be able to like a disco, music and lights under the stars. You're going to be able to pay that money and know that it's going to go to a good cause, because it's going to go to projects like Healing Humanity. But you've got to get your tickets. The link to the tickets are in the description. You've got to grab them early, because they will not be available. It's not a marketing ploy. They won't be available after the 19th, because the organisers want to make sure there is enough food for everybody. It's down in Glastonbury, so it's a bit nice. Like I say, let's have a look. We've got all these different speakers. We've got Carl hosting it. We've got Stephanie talking about her cancer journey. We've got Richard talking about his obesity and diabetic journey, how he's reversed all that. Myself talking about obesity and diabetes. Carl obviously talking about his life and his ancestral well-being now. George is going to talk about his 9-stone weight loss, which is, you know, over 100 pounds, and he's reversing type 2. Lauren's talking about food sensitivity. Lee's journey, as we know, losing his colon and all the issues he's gone through. And now he's wonderful and healthy and all that sort of stuff, and a top guy. And you know, you've got to get your tickets. You've got to get your tickets. It's going to be.
Can I also add in Jonathan? I think it's Carnivore Muscle will also be coming, and we'll be setting up a side stall for him in the afternoon for people that want to engage, because he's much more specialised in the fitness and the health side of it. But Jonathan, we were trying to get it. We're going to have him as a key speaker at the next one we do, but he's actually got a ticket, so we're going to set him up an area so Jonathan can share his stories as well.
Yeah, so I mean, you'll love that, because Jonathan, when he spoke at the Carnivore conference, you know, it was good fun. He had a few people actually doing demonstrations, and I tell you what, I wouldn't want him as my coach, because he really does push people. Oh wow, I couldn't wuss out. That's not allowed. But it was great. And I mean, so if you can get there for 9 o'clock for the registration, but you've got an hour, you know, before that. So if you're worried about traffic or setting up in the campsite, you know, there's plenty of time to register. It's going to be a tribute to Alex, who, you know, it was a big part of his carnivore journey. And then you've got the personal journeys, you've got Comfort Break, then Lauren and Lee and their personal journeys, another Comfort Break, then myself and Richard speaking, Q&A, and then it's great onwards. It's all community socializing. There's a raffle where you can win cool stuff and a disco. So, I mean, it's really good value. I can't get over what good value it is, to be honest. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Well, I need it to be a break-even scenario. I don't want to pay any more tax than I have to. So anything we make on it is going to, you know, the helping humanity and people like that. It's not a profit thing for us, but we did need to make sure we covered our costs. So that's worked out really well now with the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the next question. I'm really gutted that Bigger Stickers, it hasn't got a question, because I just want to say the name, but I've said it now. I've got a friend called the Biggest Stickers, which is a Monty Python thing, in case you don't know. Right, here we got Daniela. I think that's how you would say it. And she's saying, hello, I'm 200 days fully carnivore. A week ago, I found out that I have some nodules on my thyroid. Any advice? Actually, thyroid nodules are actually really common. That's the first thing. That doesn't mean it's great to have them, but it does mean that you're not on your own. Common sort of estimates are that as many people, about 70% of people actually have them. So this detection of them is purely because it was being looked at. There's many people that have them, don't even know they've got them, and they're not problematic. You have a metabolic shift when you go carnivore, obviously. It's very unlikely that the nodules appeared because of carnivore. You know, it's probably a long time in the making, or they might have been there before carnivore, unless you've had your thyroid looked at every month. So it's something just to keep an eye on. Not to worry if you get your readings, and going back to the bloods, you need less T3. All right, and if you get your panel and it's really bad, you've got nodules and you've got less T3, well, you need less T3 when you eat this way, because you're not eating lots of carbohydrates. T3 is part of the glycolysis pathway, which is the posh way of saying breaking down carbs, and T3 is needed to get pyruvate, which is a product of breaking down carbs across the mitochondrial membrane. So you need less T3. So if you get a thyroid panel in your carnivore, you need it interpreted properly, not in the context of a mainstream way of eating, but in the context of eating a lot less carbohydrate. And also, things are going to change with this way of eating. You're going to see your iodine redistribution, because there's more nutrients, there's less systemic inflammation. So I think just keep an eye on it. If you've got a full panel, I would be interested to see that. You could email me that. My email is zerocarbcoach@gmail.com. If you come to the meeting, you could bring your bloods and we'll have a look at them. Zero spelt out ZERO, Carb Coach. But avoid panic. That's the first thing, because like I say, they're often not problematic. Many people have them, don't even know they've got them until there's some sort of test, and it just reveals itself. So hopefully that's helpful. I don't know if anyone else wants to say anything.
Covered it, mate, really, other than other lifestyle hacks, fasting, natural light, grounding, good sleep, all of that stuff's going to help the body work properly. and that's all you can do.
Absolutely right.
Just realised it's the 17th today. I'm 3 years carnivore today. It's funny how you always wait for it, and then it comes and you forget. My 3-year carniversary. Woo! 3 years to the day. There you go.
Here's Craig saying, I can't sadly have visitors that weekend, but I'll be going to the next one. Can't recommend a consult with Carnivore Muscle enough, having great results since my consult a couple of weeks ago. So that's really good. That's Craig there, Craig Webster. So all we've got really is nice comments. I think there's a question here. Casey, I can't make it to the meetup, but I like listening about it. Will there be any recorded content posted to YouTube or other platforms? I think we did cover that, but do you want to do it again, Carl?
Yeah, so we are hoping to do some sort of streaming, but again, the internet we're not very confident about. If not, we are aiming to have someone there do video recording. There will be a number of other people. We're also going to ask everyone that comes to the event to take their own recording and share it with us, and we can make a group collage. It might keep me busy for a few weeks, but I'm quite happy to do that. So we are hoping to. We can't promise it because we're not too sure what the Wi-Fi in Somerset is going to be like on the 2nd of August.
Okay. Lee, have you got any plans to record your speech? Or
I don't even know how I would unless I just made enough room on my phone.
Oh, right. Okay.
I'll probably get some footage. Yeah, I'll probably have like my mum or my dad or something. Just if they can figure out how to record.
Okay. Melted Wheelie Bin, who was on yesterday, I think, because I love the name. Will there be a fire pit campfire to sit around at the meetup?
Well, on the Friday evening, there is another hog roast, and that actually event. That's a paid event. You have to buy your food, but because a number of us are getting there on Friday, we're actually going down to Sourdown Friday evening. So I think there's going to be a bit of a get together that people are camping on Friday as well. So there'll be a mini version on the Friday evening. So, but the food there you have to pay for. That's not part of our event. Everything Saturday is all paid for through the ticket.
So, do you know what you'll be talking about, Lee?
I'm gonna riff. I always do this. I could start anywhere, and there's always something to say. Always something to say. I'm sure I will circle back round to bits of my story. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about it the other day. Every time I do this, I start somewhere and it just goes somewhere else. But let's keep it fresh and exciting, and I'll improvise when I'm up there.
Right. Okay. I'm just messaging something.
I'll talk about food and lifestyle.
You're going to talk about food. Okay. I mean, it's amazing, really, that such a simple thing as eating meat can be made so complicated by other people. Other influencers are saying it's going to cause this problem, that problem. And yet, people go to this way of eating and they get such success. I mean, it's so simple, isn't it, really?
Yeah. Of course. I think it's the most simplistic way forward. It keeps things simple in every way in terms of time saving, cooking and cleaning up. And, you go into one shop, and if you're going into a big store, you often just go straight down one, maybe 2 aisles, and then you're straight out again. You're not kind of lingering around, walking, and because your outlook changes and the way you see the world changes. You start looking at other things. You think, do I need that? Do I need that? The shopping list gets smaller and smaller. Lucy grabs her little bits and pieces from a main store like Tesco's or something like that. And I'll pretty much go to Chart Farm almost exclusively. I don't see the need to even go into. I tell you what, I do go down the road here. They sell Voss water. I've been drinking Voss recently, and I've been mineralising it with a bit of Celtic salt. I structure it as best as I can outside, and yeah, it's delicious water. It really is. You can taste how clean it is. It's naturally very low in dissolvable solids. You remineralise that, and it's just lovely. It's obviously in a glass bottle. So, but yeah. You can talk about so much, and it's just that's going from our side as well. It's amazing how much we can actually talk about just eating meat and drinking water. So you've got a lot of this sort of pushback, but we can also say so much about something that's so simple, because I think it opens your world. It's like learning another language. You see things differently. Life is different. You become what I call a real human being, and it's nice to discover that. Even if you're 70 or 80 odd, it's not too late. Why wouldn't you want to feel like a proper human being in your life? So,
yeah. But it took me 50 years to discover this way of eating. And then once you find it, you actually think it's so obvious. It's so basically obvious. And I think, how did I not know this?
Yes, that's exactly right. Right. Joanne is sharing some information, and I'll add a bit of info for people that don't know what she's talking about. But my doctor was intrigued by carnivore. He had no clue what it was, but he saw my results, especially with my INR, International Normalized Ratio, which is to do with clotting. It measures how long your blood takes to clot compared to normal. From losing a heart valve, I was always in the stroke zone. So the stroke zone is inadequate anticoagulation. All right, so someone with heart valve issues, you don't want coagulating, you know. And it was 1.4, but now it's always 2.8 or 3.4. So, I mean, what that is saying, that that's a better range to be in. So, you know, a target range when you've got a mechanical heart valve or sort of a high risk valve, you want it to be between 2.5 to 3.5. Now look at her readings; they are right in there, 2.8 to 3.4. So that's sort of like going to signify better protection against clot formation, but also it's not going to be too thin. So it's a bit of a Goldilocks number, that. You know, it's not going to be too thin, it's not going to be too thick. And what do you want when you've got a heart valve problem? You want your blood to be optimal. So, you know, that's amazing. That is such a good thing. And if you want to be a success story on my YouTube channel, then just email me and just mention that you've said about that, because that's quite nuanced, but people love it. They love these real numbers and real changes. I am glad that your doctor is intrigued, because I've had so many stories of people doing these miraculous things. I suppose Kevin, one of my success stories videos, was talking about his MS and the fact that his lesions had gone. So we're talking images, we're talking factual information. And when that was discovered, the doctor, or the consultant, I should say, came in to speak to him and slammed the documents on the table and said, "This shouldn't happen." Yeah, because he's so used to it not happening. He didn't say, "What are you doing, Kevin? This is amazing." He was absolutely angry that there was something he couldn't explain happening, but he didn't want to know what Kevin had done. So,
but that's almost expressing frustration of not being in control of his success. That is what that is.
yes. I mean, I was being very magnanimous about the medical establishment, because there are some people out there that I think Dave Mack has a mug. One of his merchandise things is, "Sorry that your medical degree doesn't top my critical thinking," or something like that. So, you know, and I love it, because the thing is, I mean, when I did my honours degree in physiology and health sciences, yeah, I got the degree, but since doing this and actually dealing with people, I've learned that some of that stuff is not the case. It's not true, because it's just quoted. It's building on a foundation of studies that don't take into consideration nutrition. So it's really quite frustrating.
I also did a bit of research, and if you look at how NHS practices are funded, they're funded on how much they prescribe. They're actually encouraged to subscribe in order to earn certain monies. Now, they have a base amount, but they also get top-ups based on how many statins they've subscribed, how much this they've described, which I think is the wrong way round. But I need to do a bit more research to get more detail into that.
Yeah, I mean, they're called honoraries. The way they get round it is it's not commission. So a practice would be told, right, you've got 1,000 patients and we want the average LDL cholesterol to be whatever level they set it at. And if you manage to get everyone there or under, we'll honour your wonderful work for public health by giving you this wad of money. I mean, you know, if that's not commissioned by a different name, I don't know what is. And that, you know, that's public record. We all know that that really happens. There's a question from Jeanette for Lee. So, Lee, how do you mineralize water? Is it just with salt? I use Maldon sea salt.
Yeah, I mean, that'll work. I personally prefer a Celtic salt. It just seems to be a little bit lower in microplastics, higher in magnesium, it's a little bit more, you know, water hungry. It helps get the water inside the cells. I just put a very generous pinch, sometimes a bit more, you know. That's it. I usually mineralize it overnight, and I take it outside and I just structure it in the light for a few hours at least, while I'm grounding and experiencing sunrise. And that's basically it. Yeah, that's what you got to do to mineralize it. You don't have to use separate minerals or an electrolyte supplement or anything. Celtic salt, good quality salt, that'll do it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people call it Soleil water, which is just water you've left out and you put salt in the night before. So try and make your answers a bit longer so I can do a little bit of the back office.
Well, you take mass spectrometry and you divide the length of the flux capacitor by 6.7 millimeters per deciliter.
That's perfect. Carnivore Muscle is saying, my phone is loaded to the gills with memory. I can record some segments if I bring my tripod, which is really generous.
Mine just gets drained. I can't even record in ultra high definition for that long, and my phone's it struggles. Even to crop down and make a copy so it's shorter, it'll be like, you've got too little space to do that, and I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to do with it then? Yeah. Anyway.
We are hoping to have a video photographer there. We're just working on that project at the moment to keep it within budget, because unfortunately they're not cheap to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's not cheap to get the people to do it or the memory?
We believe, fingers crossed, Stephanie may have someone that can do it. That's not fully professional, but will do it at a much more economical cost for us. If that's the deal, then we can have the whole event captured. But I'm not sure we can live stream it and capture it. But I've got a little idea about the live stream a bit, if we can get the Wi-Fi.
Yes, and I think one of the things I would say to Jonathan or anybody is sound is really important. So I have a Bluetooth microphone, which has an attachment you can put into a phone, because that's going to be the biggest issue, is getting the audio to be good. Because if you're away and you're filming, you can't use the mic. I'm sure Jonathan knows all this anyway, but that would be my issue. Right, so let's have a look. Any more comments or questions? So medical professionals need to ask more questions. Like you said, critical thinking needs to be there as well. And we have, I can't read the name here because it's sort of like squiggles and stuff. But anyway, I think it's Poppy Pip. Anyway, hello. For someone who's lost their menstrual cycle and has been trying to recover it for over a year now, how can I speed up the process? Am I doing something wrong on a carnivore diet and no exercise? Well, I don't know if you're doing anything wrong, because we don't know enough about you. All right, what we know is you're on a carnivore diet and you're not exercising, so that's okay. Many women do restore their cycles on carnivore. That's definitely the case. I wish I knew your name because I could answer it properly to your name. But you could look at what you're doing. So, for instance, make sure that your iron is bioavailable. That's very helpful when you're looking for healthy cycles. So you might be avoiding red meat, for instance, because you still might believe the stuff about red meat. So and carnivore is many things. Many people can be on chicken and fish, they call it fish and fowl, they can do that, or they can be doing eggs and bacon and sausage. They can be doing BE, but not enough B, the first one, which is beef, doing a lot of bacon and butter and eggs. So make sure you're eating enough red meat, especially for the bioavailable iron, or you can also eat lamb as well. Maybe you're not getting enough zinc or B vitamins. So that all of these things, just make sure that that's happening, and enough fat, because cholesterol is a building block for all the steroid hormones. So you could be not eating enough fat. So that's a few things, just just to help you. Maybe organ meats. This is where I'm not Paul Saladino. I don't have organ supplements to sell you, but organ meats can really help with the nutrient density and all their B vitamins and folate, which could be helpful. I'm a big fan, I think Lee is as well, of bone marrow, which is really good for the fat soluble vitamins. Really cheap. You can get it from Morrison's, or some butchers will give it to you for nothing, because otherwise it goes in the bin. You can you cook it up quite easily. Big one though is eating enough. I think a lot of women still scared of eating enough food. We don't talk about calories. Eating enough food is all we say. The mass of food needs to be enough for you, with enough fat. You don't want lean stuff if you can do that. I suppose one of the biohacks I always recommend is morning protein. So many people are coming to this way of eating. I am one of those people. I don't like eating in the morning. I don't think it helps my body composition. But if you've got a particular goal, this is one goal, eating protein in the morning is really beneficial if you've lost your cycle and you want to get it back. So that's what I would do. I would eat plenty of egg yolks if you tolerate it. Egg yolks, not the whites necessarily. Look at the stress as well. Make sure you're not stressed. And you could do a little bit of exercise. You could do moderate exercise, but don't do intense. So there you go. And what, 200 days? You're into 6 months. Are you getting different? Are you getting worsening symptoms? Are you getting hot flashes and mood changes? And this is where coming to our live meetup would be really helpful for people, because we can get into the weeds with this. I mean, we haven't got time to do this, but basically, hopefully that's enough to be starting. So unless Lee or Carl wants to add anything.
No, I think your thing about fat's important, because of the hormones need the fat, the cholesterol. I don't have a cycle, so I can't really talk from a position of knowledge.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I do agree, though. I think obviously fat, but I think seafood's definitely. I think it's underrated in general. To be honest with you, I don't think people utilize enough seafood. DHA, all the extra minerals, electrolyte, zinc. There's so much in seafood that I really appreciate. And marrow. I made a video about that. The most underrated type of carnivore food out there. I just don't hear it talked about anywhere near enough, and that is bone marrow. Absolutely. If you can get it fresh, obviously it's nicer. I eat it raw. I can't really bring myself to, just because I know it's nice, it's delicious, but for me, I just don't do well with this liquid rendered hot fat. It's nice at first, and then it gets a bit overwhelming. I
also think bone broth is very underrated as well, because the stuff, again, it's got the marrow coming from the bones, and I think it's liquid gold.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, sorry guys, I'm going to just plug my school community for this particular person here, if that's okay with everyone, just very briefly. Yeah. And my website as well, because I offer free meal plans and I offer a lot of free information. My app is packed with free information. So Solar Dare is asking, do you guys have consultations for cheaper, as I'm on fixed income and don't think I can afford regular consultations? Well, like I say, my website is full of free information. The app has a lot of very close to free information. I think it's like $2.99 a month and you get a free meal plan and all that. If you want personalized information, one of the things Richard and I do is we run a school community. And I'll just quickly show you what that is like. It's a bit like like Facebook. So in our school community, and I'll put a link in the chat, it's half the price of most other communities. And you can see people post a question and we get lots of answers. So like Nicholas has got this question one day ago. He's already had 22 people give him some responses. We're talking about the Great British Meetup there. So some people just ask simple questions. Some, look at this lipotoxicity, 46 answers. And also, so you could come in and you could ask questions, and there'll be people possibly that have had the same issue as you. We also offer a classroom, so you can self-teach yourself, all about keto, all about carnivore. These levels, the more active you are in the community, they're free, they open up. So all you got to do is go in the community, ask a question, like a few posts, and all these levels open up. So there you go. I mean, that's another way of doing it, problem solving. You can do a one-off payment, by the way, and open up all these levels. The Fat Club is just about 56 days. It's a video for every day, and it really holds your hand. So the classroom is there. And if you look at the calendar, there's lots of free question and answer sessions. Just look at this. Well, let's look from Sunday. We did one live. We did a live on Saturday about blood glucose. Then we did one 7 o'clock on YouTube, which everyone can do. Then we did a members Q&A, which you could come into on the Sunday, a members Q&A on a Monday, Tuesday. We did 2 on Wednesday. And here we are here today doing this one. So that is the school community, which you can join, and it's really inexpensive. And you get a lot of support. So what I'll do is I'll put a link in the chat for that. Sorry, guys, I know we're talking about the meetup, but the idea is to get the word out there, isn't it, about all different things that we offer. And you could come to the meetup and you get 13 hours of attention. which is pretty cheap, isn't it? I mean, £41, 13.5 hours. Anyway, if you want to join the school community, link is in the chat. Let's get back to the thing in hand, which is our thing at Somerset. So the 2nd of August 2025, Sourdown Farm in Somerset. It's limited to 200 tickets, and you've got until the 19th of July to buy your ticket. And I think you really should jump in there. I don't know who's typing, but you could go into the chat. That's all right, mate. You could go into the descriptions. I think all of us, Carl's channel, Lee's channel, my channel, has a link to buy the tickets. And you need to get in, because I think they'll go. I mean, of late, I think you've sold so many more tickets in the last couple of days. It's unbelievable. So get in before they go. You won't regret it. I absolutely guarantee it, because it's going to be brilliant, isn't it, Carl? It's going to be
brilliant. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Really am looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, what's happening? You can register at 9. You've got an hour to register and mingle with people. And then we're going to see this tribute, 15 minutes to Alex Cannon, who was a really good guy for, obviously went through some problems. But then we've got Stephanie's personal journey and George's personal story. George has lost over 100 pounds, reversed his type 2 diabetes. How inspiring is that? Stephanie's got over, cancer. I met her at the PHC. She'd had chemo the day before. You would not know. I mean, this way of eating, you can do chemo and still be full of energy. Then there's a comfort break. Then we've got Lauren, who's talking about being malnourished. Lee's story about his colon, it's now he's got a bag for life and all that. Then we've got another comfort break. And then we got me, and then you got Richard. And if I could get rid of that banner, I would. That. And then you've got a question and answer, a feast, all you can eat. It's incredible money, value for money, and it's going to healing humanity. It's not to make tons of money for individual people. It's to cover their costs and then give the money to the healing humanity. Lots of socializing, a raffle where you can win brilliant prizes, lots of merchandise, my fantastic book about my guide to bloods, and a disco. So what a great day. What a great day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
See you there.
Sorry?
See you there.
See you there, everybody. Now, I think we've got to the end of an hour. I think Jeanette's got a follow-up question to you. So should we do the last couple of questions?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay,
let's see. So we'll go to Lorraine first. Well, bear with me 1 second. Wow. Let's just do this. Lisa's got a question. I don't want to miss this. Oh, here we go. There's a few questions. Right, Lisa. My husband lost 3 kilograms. That's about 6.6 pounds, I think, in 2 months since going low carb. It's very positive, but he feels it's slow. Any advice? No dairy. Well, slow weight loss stays off, to be honest. And do you know what? If you lost 3 kilograms every 2 months, wow. In like a year, what would that be? That would be 18 kilograms. That would be about 36 pounds. Wow. That's amazing. I've got some props here. And, that's like 3 pounds. That's 3 pounds of fat. He's lost more than that. Lost twice as much. Wow. But don't forget, that's all distributed across your body. So don't think that's bad. My advice would be to stick with it and just be really happy that you've lost nearly half a stone in 2 months. Wow. But that's how good carnivore is, because you lose that amount of weight and you complain.
If he wants to fast track it a little bit, I found going on line diet for a month was a bit of a boost, because it really strips it right down, and then start introducing back other items. But that was just a personal choice for me.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race. I wouldn't look at this like a race, because if you think about it, if you lose a load of fat really quickly. You get right to where you want to be. You'd almost worry about how you're going to keep your weight healthy at that point. Also, you know, you don't want to look at it like a means to an end. You want to just do this and hopefully feel better and better, and you won't want to go back. And like Stephen's saying, that way is healthy weight loss. It will stay off, and you should return to an ideal body composition for you. And that's basically what most of us seem to do eventually. It's different for everyone because we're all different.
Yep, absolutely. Lorraine is saying, is there anything you can recommend for hair loss? Started a year ago, but when I first started carnivore, it hasn't really let up since. Hair loss is normally associated with under eating or not eating enough protein. So that would be my two things.
Yeah, I've just put actually fatty red meat and oily fish, surf and turf, zinc, omega-3 fatty acids, proteins, heme iron, B vitamins. Covered. So just eat enough and keep going.
Yeah, it sounds like there's somebody talking in the background, by the way. Sorry.
That might be my bulldog snoring. I do apologise.
Right.
Sounds like TV, doesn't it, in the background? Yeah, I don't know if castor oil would help, but for some people, castor oil seems to help sort of revitalise the hair and this kind of stuff. I don't know if it would stop your hair loss or bring it back. I don't know, but maybe look into that.
Well, hair has that sort of 3 monthly wave, doesn't it? You know, and it takes a long time for the benefits to regrow. So I think it's a thing about being patient. But let's say you started eating more. Don't think your hair's going to look fabulous within 6 weeks. It's going to take like 3 months.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe
I lost a lot of grey. I mean, I've now got a grey bit here, but I used to be a full grey beard, and I had a lot of grey in the side, and I've lost all the grey on top, and it's only this very little bit here has stayed grey. The rest of it's gone darker.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeanette's saying, I've noticed that you can buy Celtic oysters. It's in a supplement similar to liver supplements. Do you think that would be beneficial? Because I don't like the taste of oysters. But yes, if the zinc is intact, then that would be great.
I like a bit of beef, fatty beef heart or something like that, ox heart.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you put some good answers in the chat, actually. Thank you. I think we've got to the end of the questions, which is really great. Thank you, everybody. So hopefully you're going to look in the description and you're going to buy your tickets for the Great British Meetup. You've got until the 19th of July, so that's only 2 days. If you're watching after the 19th of July, I hope you enjoyed us answering the questions, because the whole point was try and give you a little bit of value if you're not interested in the meetup, but just also to get a taste of what we're like and that we can answer questions for you and hopefully make it all make sense. So anyway, thanks everyone on YouTube for watching. Don't forget, look in the descriptions, click on the link, buy the tickets, and we'll see you there.
Better way to go.